Hello class, my name is Sawasri and I'm from Bhutan. I'm currently doing MBA with Environmental Management as my specialization. In this presentation, I want to present the critical review of EIA case study of Mangles Bay area of Cape Peron in Rockingham for development of the marine-based tourism. This assessment is purely focused in the context of the significant environmental issues and the consideration of the best practice criteria for application of the mitigation hierarchy. Uh, in accordance to reference articles, the two mitigation criterions considered for this assessment are: the first criteria emphasizes on the need to prioritize and consider avoidance and minimization as fundamental. Uh, Ideally, any developmental projects should mitigate much of the impacts prior to any offsets option. The second criteria basically points out that offsets be used as a last option to mitigate any residual impacts only after the exhaustion of other mitigation interventions. Uh, Let me also inform you that the WEIA procedures do acknowledge these two criterions, and it's well defined in the Environment Protection Act and WA Offsets Guideline with appropriate institutional arrangement. The Mangal Bay project did undergo full EIA assessment. Several documents, including referrals, scoping document, public submissions, EPA report, were reviewed as part of this assessment. However, with an overwhelming 496 submissions objecting the proposal, citing environmental concerns, loss of recreational space, and non-compliance of the Western Australian Planning Commission's policy, the plan for Mangles Bay Marina at Point Peron was ultimately withdrawn by WA government. Now, looking into the details of the proposal, the most significant environmental issues as defined in the environmental scoping documents are the seagrass and the water quality. There is a direct seagrass loss through construction of this project and indirect loss through changes in the water quality. The other thing, it's on Lake Richmond, which is of a national conservation significance with iconic value to Rockingham community, which would be actually dearly impacted by this project. And on the terrestrial vegetation, there'll be a loss of vegetation, land fragmentation, and habitat loss. So now the question of how much of these environmental issues are being mitigated following the two mitigation criterions. As reflected in the strategic environmental review document, the proposal did incorporate the avoidance by seeking change in the location of the marina to the north and to the west to avoid potential threats to the lake and the surrounding environment. The construction of the marina was also proposed using dry excavation to minimize marine water quality impact. Also, alternative land options were proposed to reduce the impact of the vegetation and seagrass, and we can see the level of impact with each option. It decreases it gets better actually with other alternatives taking into consideration. So on the offsets, although any offsets cannot equate or compensate fully the loss of seagrass and vegetation, measures in form of transplantation of seagrass and rehabilitation of vegetation within the Cape Peron area was mentioned. So in conclusion, let me pose you a word of whether the best practice mitigation is upheld in the Mangles project or not. Considering the significance of the marine ecosystem, the deterioration of the environment from similar developments in the past, and the huge opposition from the scientific communities, the local residents, and the Western Australian Planning Commission, the proponents afford to develop the marina base destination at Cape Peron with the mitigation measures was not enough. Thank you for listening.